So namaste video has begun.
Oh, yeah. I remember that every time. Namaste.
Namaste, Swami-G.
Now we get here and there'll be nothing that comes out.
We've already had our conversation at lunch.
Exactly, at lunch we had a great conversation. It's too bad everybody wasn't there, so yeah. But maybe something else will come up.
We had some interesting points come up. I thought it was very fascinating, our discussion about prematurely declarated realizations, first of all.
Yeah.
We also spoke about the Shakti,
Exactly.
its role within realization. We spoke about the challenge of having students, the various
Yes, the joys of
Joys of
yes,
teaching.
Yes, the joys of teaching, yes.
and the curses that come along with it.
Yes, yes.
And I thought we shed a lot of light on these topics, and we even seem to have multiple points of agreement. We may describe things differently, but I think that if we can give ourselves a chance just to speak openly and easily about what we know, then maybe these points will automatically align themselves in some kind of agreement, rather than me trying to agree with you or you trying to agree with me.
Tom, David, you need to comb your hair. Could you get mine
This
too?
is showbiz.
You don't have that problem.
I don't have that problem,
I think
no.
I'll shave my head. I think Swami-G is onto something that I've not yet understood.
I have no. It's
See?
very
she
simple.
can talk anywhere and look perfect. And
All
I
right.
have to
Okay,
be
back
calm.
to the recording then.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Arlie. Thank you for looking out for me.
See, here's my.
Yeah, no, I don't have the hair problem, so yeah, easy to go anywhere. Yeah,
Let's talk about here.
there you go, as I say, or the lack thereof, in my case.
Oh.
It's hard to believe you tape on that little camera.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
That's it.
You've got this big mechanism.
No, ours is portable. It goes wherever we're at. Yeah, he's a little more high tech than ours. I told him not to be jealous of our camera over here, but yeah, our little mini thing. That's it.
Travel light.
That's it.
So the Shakti is looked down upon in many spiritual circles. Something that I have learned about through doing research on the internet. And I thought maybe you'd have a few things to say about that, since Kundalini, as you suggested at lunch, is a central, if not the most central aspect of your own teaching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like we were saying in the midst of lunch, that Sankacharya, who was one of the most well-respected for non-dual that people look up, that when he was first realized, and this is what happens when one first enters realization, the only reality is absolute. Okay, that's it. The only reality is absolute, and everything else is only dream and illusion. But then as one settles after realization and the depth comes, then the world comes back into view. And after the world comes back into view, then one sees also Shakti is not two. So the odes to Shakti were written after realization, and it was at the latter part of Sankacharya's life that he wrote the odes to Shakti. It wasn't before realization. And then everything blew out, and then it had no relevance anymore. No, he saw the beauty and the play of God, that Shakti and the world after realization is no longer Maya or the illusion. It then becomes the play of God.
And isn't it ironic that Adi Shankara is invoked and evoked by the Advaita Vedantists for his I am that declarations, at the same time ignoring this entire latter movement of his life, where Kali became the supreme focus of attention, the Divine Mother, the Shakti.
Mm-hmm.
He even opened up Divine Mother temples toward the end of his life.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's amazing. I think for people, they don't understand that the Shakti also is not two, that one comes back into the play of the world at the end. Yeah. When one is going through the path, of course, then one say it's illusion, it's delusion, because it's the mind that's caught up into it, that's the delusion. Okay, one is not seeing the purity, and that's why when they say it before the path, mountains are mountains, during the path they become something else, and at the end of the path, mountains become mountains again. So one goes full circle.
This is absolutely correct about the I am that phase of dissolving the world and entering into a supremely impersonal condition, that actually begins to fade away, and what reasserts itself is the world, but within that, not as separate from that.
Yeah, it's never been separate from that. When one starts the path, it's something separate. One is looking for the absolute, and they don't have the absolute. Therefore, what they're involved in the world is Maya. Because they don't know anything other than that.
Exactly.
And they're in the suffering mind, and in the suffering persona. But then when one transcends, and the I falls away, and there is no more of that persona that one is seeing as this I, when that falls away, then one comes back into the world and one sees that it's the flip side of the coin. Absolute runs like a thread through all of existence. There can be no existence without absolute. Impossible.
And many people are claiming, I think, inappropriate realization based on just this experience of falling away or dropping in. And you also see the creation of a spiritual strategy around that experience to try to maintain the absolute, as though it's something that needs to be practiced. And so the way I term this in my teaching is that there is an inordinate fascination with jnana yoga. In other words, taking a yoga and trying to raise it to the level of a description of enlightenment itself. And you see this going on in what I call the neo-Advaitic circles, or the more recent expositions that have come forth in the last 10 years or so. There's this focus on emptiness. Everything has to gravitate toward emptiness. And there's this worshipping of the dissolution of the human personality, when in fact it's the relative world that ought to be worshipped within that supreme reality, that is the Godhead manifesting. This world is the divine, and nothing else but that.
The other problem I see is the flip side of the coin with the Neo-Advaita, that says, well, since that's already it, there's nothing I need to do, therefore, within my illusion, I'm realized. Well, no, one is not realized within the illusion. You can't say that the world is only that divine play, therefore there's nothing to get. Because at first, one is in the illusion. They're in Maya. They're in the delusion. It only becomes the play of God after realization, that one understands what it is. Otherwise, this is why it's called Maya, because it's not what people take it to be. So the Neo-Advaitic thing, when they come out with, well, I'm already that, so there's nothing to get, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to get, I don't need to do anything, I'm already that, this is already the divine, but they're in illusion and suffering. So yes, there is somewhere to go.
Or even if they are partially immersed in that, that too is not full realization.
Exactly. One can have a falling away experience, and then mind reroutes to try to figure it out, and persona comes back, and the driving desires and the driving forces come back, but that's not it. I think that Ramana is very clear on this. There are many types of samadhis. You can focus on the top of your head, and you can have samadhis all day. You can hold on to them with effort. That's what this is called, holding it with effort. But one has to get the sahaj state, where the mind is then at most points still